Today's tech news moves fast, but understanding it shouldn't be hard. That's why Snarful Solutions Group brings you Connecting the Dots, where we break down what's happening in tech and why it matters to you. Now, let's dive in with your hosts.
Good morning. It is Tuesday, February 10th, 2026. This is Connecting the Dots, brought to you by the Snarful Solutions Group.
And today we are looking at a tale of two very different bank accounts. On one side, you have companies desperately trying to figure out how to pay for the AI tools you're already using.
Right.
And on the other, you have investors backing up the armored trucks to fund the next generation of intelligence. AI that doesn't just talk, but actually sees.
It is essentially the cost of intelligence edition today. The bill is coming due for the chatbots, while the checkbook is wide open for the physics simulators.
Exactly.
But before we get into the silicon and the strategy, let's talk about the physical reality outside your window. Let's open up the Morningstar weather report.
We have to start up north. I mean, if you are involved in logistics or transport in Alaska, you are looking at a nightmare scenario.
Wow.
There is a massive, powerful storm system just hammering the state right now. And we aren't just talking about a little snow.
This is serious.
We're talking dangerous seas, blizzard conditions, and bitter cold that is going to lock things down right through the middle of the week.
So if you have supply chains running through Anchorage, you should definitely expect delays. And that system has a tail, doesn't it?
It does. Down here in the lower 48, specifically out west, that Pacific storm is finally moving inland across California.
Okay.
If you're in the valleys, it's going to be a slick, rainy commute. If you're heading up into the mountains, however, you're getting a serious dusting of snow.
Which is fantastic for the ski resorts.
Absolutely, but maybe less fantastic if you're trying to drive a semi-truck over the pass.
True.
Moving east, the Central Great Basin needs to watch out for high winds today. And for our listeners on the East Coast, the Northeast is dealing with a clipper system.
Ah, the clippers.
Yeah, it's fast, it's bringing snow, and the gusty winds are going to linger well into tomorrow, Wednesday.
And for us, right here in Sacramento, it is looking like a classic gray February start. Mostly cloudy this morning, but you definitely want to grab the umbrella because it is turning to rain later on. We're looking at a high of 57 degrees Fahrenheit.
Standard fare for us. Now let's look at the scoreboard. How did the financial markets treat your portfolio yesterday?
It was a pretty green day for the industrialists. The Dow Jones had a very solid session.
Okay.
It added just over 200 points. That's up 0.4%. Closing at 50,394.12.
So it broke that psychological 50K barrier, and it's actually holding it. That feels significant for market confidence.
It really does. The S&P 500, however, didn't quite catch the same updraft. It took a bit of a breather, dipping slightly by about 14 points.
Right.
But the real volatility, as is often the case, was in crypto.
Yeah, if you were watching the charts last night, you saw a lot of red candles. Bitcoin had a rough 24 hours.
How rough?
It's down over 2%, shedding about, 1,420 points. It's currently trading around $68,688.
Oof, that is a sharp slide.
It is. And honestly, staring at red candles on a crypto chart is enough to drain anyone's energy, which brings us to something that might help with that sluggish feeling.
It does. We are really happy to welcome a new partner to the show today, Strong Coffee. Now, I know when people hear instant coffee, they usually think of that, bitter sludge you get in a hotel room.
I was skeptical too, I'll admit it.
Right.
But this is different. It's premium instant, so it tastes like a proper traditional brew, but the formulation is what really caught my eye.
It's not just caffeine.
Not at all. It is packed with 15 grams of protein, MCTs, and adaptogens.
Specifically ashwagandha.
Right, which is huge for stress modulation. So instead of that jittery spike and crash you get from sugary energy drinks or, just chugging espresso.
You get a clean, sustained burn. It's fuel, not just a stimulant.
Precisely.
And because you're listening to us, you get a break on the price. You can get 20% off your entire purchase. Just use the promo code SNARFUL, that is SNARFULL, at strongcoffeecompany.com.
It is definitely worth trying. Your brain will thank you.
All right, let's open up the Morningstar and get into the main event. We have to start with the story that is just dominating the tech feeds this morning.
Yeah.
The free lunch era of AI is officially ending. As of today, ads have arrived in ChatGPT.
We have been waiting for this shoe to drop for a long, long time. It was inevitable, but the timing of it...
The timing is incredibly ironic.
It really is.
We're talking about the Super Bowl.
I am. Just yesterday, during the Super Bowl, Anthropic aired that commercial. You probably saw it, basically planting a flag and bragging about no ads in AI.
There's a direct shot across the bow.
A huge shot. And then, less than 24 hours later, OpenAI rolls this out.
It does feel like a coordinated battle for the soul of the interface. But let's get into the specifics, because ads can mean a lot of things. If I log in today, am I getting pop-ups?
No.
Is it going to look like those recipe blogs where I have to scroll past 5 videos to get the answer?
Thankfully, no. They're being fairly cautious with the implementation, it seems. According to the release, these are contextually relevant ads that appear at the bottom of the chatbot's answers.
Okay, at the bottom.
At the bottom. And they're clearly labeled as sponsored.
So it's reading the context of my chat to decide what to show me.
Exactly. The example they gave is pretty straightforward. If you're asking ChatGPT for a dinner recipe, it might generate the recipe, and then at the very bottom, you'd see a sponsored link for a grocery delivery service.
Or a specific brand of pasta or something.
Right. It's triggered by the intent of the conversation.
Okay, that sounds familiar. That is essentially the Google search model adapted for chat. But here's the big question. Who is seeing this? Because I pay $20 a month for the Plus subscription.
Right.
If I see an ad, I'm going to be canceling.
You are safe. OpenAI was very explicit about this. Plus, Pro, business, and enterprise users are all exempt.
Okay, good.
This is strictly for the free tier users and the users on ChatGPT Go.
Their lower cost plan.
Yeah, the $8 a month plan.
Wait, hold on. The $8 plan still sees ads? That feels like a tough sell. You're paying, but you're still the product.
It's a hybrid model. I mean, it's similar to what we see with some streaming services like Netflix or Hulu, right? You pay a little for access, but the ads subsidize the rest.
I guess so. And I think this brings us to the privacy concern, because ads based on conversation sounds a little dystopian to some people.
It does. It implies the model is analyzing your private thoughts to sell you stuff.
Exactly. So what are the guardrails here? Because if I'm talking about something personal, I don't want a billboard for it.
They've established a few pretty strict rules. First, they state that the ads will not influence the chatbot's actual answers. That is critical.
Okay, so the output remains neutral. The ad is just an add-on.
Correct. A brand can't pay to have ChatGPT say their product is objectively the best in the text it generates.
Got it.
Second, they aren't selling your conversation history to advertisers. And third, and this is probably the most important, one, ads are blocked entirely for sensitive topics.
Define sensitive.
Health, mental health, and politics.
Okay, that is a big relief. So if you're typing in symptoms because you think you have the flu, you aren't going to get hit with a buy this medicine ad.
Right. Or if you're trying to understand a complex political bill, you won't see campaign ads. They're also blocking ads for any account flagged as being under 18.
So let's zoom out and look at the strategy here. We all remember Sam Altman, the CEO, previously warning that ads could erode trust in AI.
He was very vocal about that.
And now, here we are. What changed?
The math changed. Or rather, the math became undeniable.
The cost.
Yeah, we have to look at the infrastructure costs. OpenAI has somewhere in the ballpark of $1.4 trillion.
With a T.
With a T in infrastructure commitments.
Trillion. That is a staggering number. It's hard to even visualize.
It is. And while they have a reported $20 billion annualized revenue run rate, the cost to run these models, the electricity, the GPUs, the cooling is just astronomical.
So they need a scalable revenue stream that grows with usage.
Exactly. Subscriptions are great, but ads are the engine of the internet for a reason.
It's the Spotify model, essentially. You either pay with your wallet for the premium experience, or you pay with your attention to keep the free tier sustainable.
That's it. And they've explicitly stated that the goal here is to keep the free tier viable and, maybe reduce usage limits for non-paying users.
It brings up a real dilemma for the listener then. If you're on the free tier, is a banner at the bottom of the screen enough to make you switch to paid?
I think most people will just ignore it, provided it stays at the bottom. But it marks a major shift. The pure research phase is over. This is a commercial utility now.
Speaking of massive amounts of money and commercial ambition, let's pivot to our second story. Because while OpenAI is trying to pay the electric bill for the current models, other investors are pouring cash into what comes next.
This is a huge story that might have flown under the radar for some because it's a bit more technical, but it's so crucial. Runway.
The AI video company.
Right. The New York-based startup that really pioneered AI video generation just announced a massive Series E funding round. They raised $315 million.
Wow. $315 million. And that pushes their valuation to what?
$5.3 billion.
That's nearly double their previous valuation.
It is. And the list of people writing the checks is a who's who of the tech stack.
Yeah.
You have General Atlantic leading, but then you have NVIDIA, Adobe, and AMD all chipping in.
That lineup tells a story right there. NVIDIA and AMD make the chips this runs on. Adobe makes the creative tools this integrates with.
Exactly.
But Runway isn't just using this money to make better deepfake videos, are they?
No, and this is where we need to connect the dots for the listener. Most people know Runway for their Gen series models making cool cinematic clips from text prompts.
Yeah.
But this funding is explicitly for building something called world models.
Okay, world models. We hear this term thrown around a lot in research papers. Let's break it down. How is a world model different from what ChatGPT does?
Think of it like this. A large language model, like ChatGPT, is essentially a probability machine. It predicts the next word in a sentence.
It's text math.
It's text math. It doesn't know what a cat is. It just knows that the word cat mathematically follows the fluffy.
Right. It understands syntax, not reality.
Exactly. A world model is trying to do something much, much harder. The quote from Runway is, "To predict the next frame, a video model must learn how the world works."
So it's trying to construct an internal simulation of the physical environment.
Precisely.
So instead of guessing a word, it's understanding physics.
Yeah.
It knows that if I drop a glass, gravity pulls it down, and when it hits the floor, it shatters. It doesn't just draw a shattered glass, it simulates the event.
Bingo. It is the difference between describing a car crash in a book and simulating the physics of metal crumpling in a computer program. And that distinction is why this matters way beyond Hollywood.
This isn't just for filmmakers.
Not at all.
If you have an AI that understands 3D space, object permanence, and physics, you apply that to robotics.
That's the holy grail. If you want a robot to navigate a messy kitchen or a construction site, you can't just give it a language model. A robot needs to understand, if I push this heavy box, it will slide.
If I push this tall lamp, it will tip over. It needs a mental simulator.
That is a great way to put it. It is a simulator for machines. Runway is already working with robotics and autonomous vehicle companies.
So they're using these video models to create training grounds for self-driving cars.
Yes. Instead of driving a real car 1,000,000 miles to learn how to avoid a pedestrian, you can simulate that scenario in a world model 1,000,000 times in an hour.
And it goes even further, right? Medicine, climate modeling.
Energy. Yep. These are all physical systems. You can't solve climate change just with text. You need to model complex, chaotic physical interactions.
It sounds incredible, but is Runway the only player here? I mean, $315 million is a lot, but in this game, it isn't infinite.
Oh, no. The race is incredibly crowded. You have World Labs, which is Fei-Fei Lai's new company.
Yeah.
She is an absolute legend in AI. You have Google DeepMind with their Genie model. Luma AI is right there too. Everyone is racing towards this.
So the consensus among the smartest people in the room is that the next frontier isn't just better chatbots. It is AI that interacts with the physical world.
We are moving from an AI that talks to an AI that sees and understands. And looking at the investors, NVIDIA especially, they know that this requires massive, massive compute power. It's a symbiotic relationship.
It feels like we were watching the industry grow up in real time. We went from write me a poem to simulate a robotic surgery in about 3 years.
It is moving so fast. And frankly, it makes the ads in ChatGPT's story feel almost quaint. We're worrying about banner ads while these labs are trying to digitize reality.
It really does put things in perspective. Before we wrap up today, I want to mention one more way to upgrade your own physical reality, specifically if you spend time on the golf course.
Or even if you just like being comfortable. We are talking about Skony.
Skony makes some of the most versatile golf shoes out there. And I say versatile because they don't look like traditional clunky cleats.
No, they're stylish enough to wear to dinner after your round, but they have the performance you need for 18 holes.
And we have a deal for you. Use the promo code SNARFL at checkout for 15% off your entire purchase.
It is a solid upgrade for your game.
Check them out at skony.com. So let's do a quick recap of what we covered today, because these are two pivotal moments that signal where we're all going.
First, the monetization engine has arrived. ChatGPT is rolling out ads to free users here in the US.
Right. It's a necessary move to pay for the massive infrastructure costs.
It is the Internet 2.0 business model, just applied to AI.
And secondly, the smart money is betting on world models. Runway's huge $315 million raise proves that the industry is shifting focus from just language processing to physical simulation.
It is about connecting the digital brain to the physical world, and that is going to change everything from filmmaking to how robots walk through our homes.
It leaves us with a provocative thought to chew on. If these world models get good enough, if they can perfectly simulate physics, weather, and human movement, at what point does the simulation become more valuable data than the real world itself?
That is a question we might be answering sooner than we think.
Well, that is all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for starting your morning with us.
We're here to help at Snarful, so reach out on our website if you have any more questions.
That's a wrap on today's top stories. Remember, tech doesn't have to be complicated, and we're here to help connect the dots. If you've got questions or want to learn more, visit us at snarful.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.